When I look back at how everything unfolded, it feels almost impossible to believe that one small choice could change the entire direction of my life. My name is Emily Turner, and this is the story of how I said yes to my friend's ex-boss, not realizing it would drag me through heartbreak, tests of loyalty, and the unexpected discovery of love where I least expected it. It all started with my best friend, Sarah Miller. Sarah and I had known each other since college, and though we drifted in and out of each other's lives depending on work and relationships, she was always like a sister to me. A year before all of this happened, Sarah had been working at a large marketing firm in New York City. She used to talk about her boss constantly. His name was Daniel Hayes. At first, she painted him as controlling, perfectionistic, and difficult to please, but over time the tone of her story shifted. She started mentioning his sense of humor, the way he encouraged his team to think bigger, how his confidence filled a room. I could tell she was drawn to him, even though she tried to disguise it. Eventually, she admitted she had developed feelings for him, though nothing ever happened between them. Daniel was her boss, older by about 10 years, and extremely professional. Sarah quit the firm after a while because she couldn't deal with the tension of having feelings for someone who didn't seem to notice her in that way. I remember consoling her through long phone calls, listening to her cry about how she felt invisible to him. "I just wanted him to see me, she whispered once. Not as his employee, not as some intern, just as a woman. After leaving that job, Sarah started over somewhere else, and little by little, she stopped mentioning Daniel. Life went on for both of us, until fate threw him right back into my path. It happened at a charity gala that I almost didn't attend. My company had given me tickets, and I was debating whether to go since I didn't know many people there. But I ended up putting on a navy dress and going anyway. That night, surrounded by people sipping champagne and exchanging business cards, I bumped, quite literally, into a tall man with piercing blue eyes and a confident smile. He steadied me with one hand on my arm and apologized. "Emily, right?" he said, surprising me. "Yes," I replied cautiously, searching his face. Then it clicked. I had seen his picture once on Sarah's phone. "You're Daniel Hayes." He smiled. "Guilty as charged. I remember Sarah mentioning you once or twice. You're her best friend." That should have been the first sign that I needed to walk away. But instead, curiosity, and maybe the way his presence filled the room, kept me rooted there. We ended up talking most of the evening. He was sharp, charismatic, and surprisingly kind. There was an intensity in the way he listened, as if nothing else in the room mattered but our conversation. When the event ended, he asked if I would like to meet again for coffee. I froze. This was my friend's ex-boss. Even if nothing had ever happened between them, Sarah had cared deeply for him. Wasn't it breaking some kind of unwritten code to say yes? That night, I called Sarah. I didn't tell her everything, just that I'd run into Daniel at the gala. Her voice stiffened instantly. "Daniel? Really? What did he say?" "Not much," I lied. "Just small talk." She sounded relieved, and I didn't tell her that he had asked me out. I told myself I wouldn't meet him again. I promised myself. But when his message popped up the next morning, simple, polite, and somehow irresistible, I gave in. That coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into long walks through Central Park, late-night phone calls, and eventually, stolen kisses that left me dizzy. Daniel wasn't just attractive. He was magnetic. He challenged me, teased me, and saw me in ways I had longed to be seen. For years, I had been in relationships where I felt like the caretaker, the listener, the supporter. But with Daniel, I felt like the center of gravity. Still, guilt gnawed at me. Every time I laughed with him, every time I caught myself staring into his eyes, I thought of Sarah. She had trusted me with her feelings, her heartbreak. And here I was, stepping into the very space she had once longed to fill. Weeks turned into months, and my secret with Daniel deepened. He wasn't just a passing fling. He was becoming the most important person in my life. I started avoiding Sarah, making excuses to not meet up, because I couldn't bear to lie to her face. It tore me apart, but I also couldn't let go of Daniel. One evening, as we sat on the rooftop of his apartment, watching the city lights shimmer, he reached for my hand and said softly, Emily, I know people might not understand this. I know Sarah was once important in your life, and I respect that. But what I feel for you is real. I want us to be more than this. It was everything I wanted to hear, yet it sent me spiraling into fear. If I said yes, I was choosing him over my friend. If I said no, I was breaking my own heart. I said yes. The fallout came faster than I expected. Sarah found out not from me, but through mutual acquaintances who had seen me with Daniel. The day she called me, her voice shaking with fury, will haunt me forever. How could you, Emily? You knew how I felt about him. You knew what he meant to me. Sarah, nothing ever happened between you two. He wasn't yours. That's not the point, she shouted, cutting me off. You knew, and you still did it. You betrayed me. I cried for hours after that call. Daniel held me, whispering that it would be okay, that love was worth the risks. But I couldn't shake the ache of losing Sarah's trust. Our friendship unraveled, and soon we weren't speaking at all. Life with Daniel wasn't easy after that. There was always the shadow of Sarah between us. At dinner parties, in conversations with old friends, even in the quiet moments when he brushed my hair back and kissed my forehead, I felt it. People whispered. Some judged. And deep down, I wondered if maybe Sarah had been right, if maybe I had chosen selfishly. Yet, over time, Daniel and I built something that felt solid and real. He showed me that love doesn't always come wrapped neatly with approval or perfect timing. Sometimes it arrives messy, complicated, and full of risk. He reminded me daily of why I had said yes in the first place, because what we had was undeniable. Years later, Sarah and I crossed paths again. She was married by then, glowing with happiness, her hand resting gently on her pregnant belly. We talked awkwardly at first, then honestly. She admitted that her crush on Daniel had been more about what he represented than who he was. I thought I was in love with him, she confessed. But looking back, it wasn't real love. It was longing for something I didn't understand. Tears blurred my eyes as I whispered, I never wanted to hurt you. I know, she said, smiling softly. And maybe I needed that heartbreak to find where I am now. We hugged, and though things were never the same between us, forgiveness settled in the air. Looking back now, I realized the story wasn't about betrayal or broken codes. It was about choices, messy, human choices that shaped the lives of everyone involved. I said yes to my friend's ex-boss, and that yes brought me love, loss, and lessons I'll carry forever. And if I had to do it all again, would I still say yes? With all the pain, the guilt, and the beauty that followed?